Hello, everyone, and welcome to Her Path, the podcast for busy women looking for health, happiness, and purpose. And today we are going to discuss the things that we usually discuss and go through at the beginning of the year, how to create healthy routines. I was just chatting with Elise about the end of the year and how it went for me. And it was definitely full of a lot of indulgence. A lot by the end of the year, I think a lot of us are running on fumes and just looking forward to holidays and what comes along with holidays, but eating, drinking, overindulging in things that we maybe restricted during the whole year or really limited and avoided. And so, yeah, that's what I did at the end of the year. I ate more than I usually do, especially sugar, chocolate, caramels are my weakness. Um, there were lots of family functions, and along with the family functions comes tamales, very rich, high carb, fatty foods that are very comforting and part of tradition. Um, and drinking, definitely more margaritas than I would normally have on the regular. And I enjoyed every single bit of it. I can honestly say that it was guiltless and it was fun. But now that we are in 2025 and starting this year, I'm ready to go back to creating some of those healthy routines and getting back on track. So that's what we're going to discuss today. How did you end your year, Elise?
Oh, well, a lot of the same. I mean, we we baked a lot of cookies in our house, which means we consumed a lot of cookies in our house. I did a couple of cookie swaps with the different friend groups, and um, we partied. We had really good food. I don't drink, but there was a lot of alcohol flowing around the family and with the friends. But yeah, same. I had no guilt. I just enjoyed myself. And now that it's January, it's time to get back on track.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I This end of this last year was a lot of fun, and with all the things, I think I gained about probably like 6 to 10 pounds, which is like my usual for whenever I kind of go off plan and just kind of liberally enjoy myself. um but some of the things that I want to get back to create some of these healthy routines are really important, and they're really important to kind of feel good on the regular, but also for long term feeling good, having energy, um, lowering inflammation, lifting the mood. Some of the things that are really important for me to get back to is the healthy eating is one of them. The stress management is another thing that is super important to get back on a healthy routine or being very aware and mindful of that. Sleep, getting back on there. There was a lot of late nights, a lot of staying up later than normal, um, not getting as much sleep as I would have liked during that time. So getting back on that sleep, especially since it's winter, cold and flu season, it just makes it so easier to get sick when you're not prioritizing sleeps. Uh, Getting back to routine exercise, limiting those harmful substances like alcohol, and if people do other harmful substances, limiting those things as well. And then maintaining some of those healthy social connections, like the friends and the family, continuing to stay connected and keep in touch, avoiding isolation. The holiday shouldn't be the only time that we see or talk to certain people. So that is something that, I'm hoping to keep at the forefront also. Um, what are some things that you feel for you, Elise, are important as far as things that you work on to help create
Yeah.
healthy routines for you?
Well, first of all the things that you said
Yeah.
totally resonate with me because they're all the keys, right?
Mhm.
I would say for me, and I wrote a blog about this on my website that talked about like setting like the anti-resolution, right? So this year I was
Mm,
just not about the structure of writing resolutions in SMART goal format with outcomes and measurements and all that stuff that I
right.
really was taking a bigger picture that I wanted to maintain and improve holistically my health. So eating healthier for me and my family, right? Incorporating more vegetables into what we eat, really focusing on portion sizes and um, reigniting. I used to love to cook, and I think like this last year, I was like, oh, dinner
Yeah.
every night for the
Right.
rest of my life. I gotta make dinner.
Right.
So I'm trying to turn that attitude around and be about, all right, what new things can we infuse into our routines? And I just got back from Antigua. I spent 10 days in Antigua, which was just lovely and beautiful. And I would say a great way to start your new year. If anybody has the chance to do a little getaway in January, I highly recommend it. But while I was there, we had the most amazing food. And I really have been trying since I came home to infuse some of that Caribbean curries
Mm,
and the
mhm.
jerk seasonings and some of the flavors that we had in Antigua into our routines. And that seems to be that's received well so far.
Nice.
Movement, movement. I'm not going to say I'm going to walk 3 miles every day.
Right.
It was -2 today here in Connecticut. And I'm not walking outside when it's -2, right? So I'm trying to just move more, whether it's yoga classes. While I was in Antigua, I swam every day for 45
Mhm.
minutes. Walking when weather permits and when scheduling permits.
Right.
Strength training. I know what we're supposed to do, trying to infuse more of that. And then, the whole stress reduction, mindfulness, being in the moment, more gratitude, all of that, whether it's meditation, whether it's journaling, just trying to make sure that I'm being purposeful about all of those buckets.
I agree. And something that I'm also trying to do is to kind of let go of the guilt for trying to take care of myself. I was listening to a book by an author. Her name is Martha Beck.
Mhm.
It's Finding Your, I forgot the name, Finding Your Guiding Light, I think it's called. But one of the chapters in there, it says, allow yourself to have some fun time every day, regardless of what you consider to be fun. And so something that I like, I love to watch TV. I love to watch shows. And a lot of times I find myself feeling guilty when I'm watching something like at night. I think I need to be doing something else. I should be more productive. But that kind of just lit a little light bulb on for me. Like that is my little time of fun. My hour at night in the evening, like just watching brainless TV. Like who cares? Like why not?
Right.
And not striving for perfection is another thing, like you said, I'm not going to be walking 3 miles when it's, you know, sub-zero outside. And by the way, I can't imagine how you can live out there. I just don't know how you people who live like it's 50 degrees. I was telling you it's 50 degrees today here in Texas and I'm dying. It's cold because
It's not always this frigid.
oh my God,
This
I
is a
don't
cold
know.
snap, but yeah.
Yeah, I would die. But yeah, not striving for perfection, but like what small thing can I do that will still keep me, kind of on a roll and still keep me motivated and something that I could feel proud about. So sometimes, yeah, I'll go on the treadmill and I'll only walk for 10 minutes or, a few minutes and that's it. That's all I got for today.
Yep.
Because either I've got to do something else or maybe I get interrupted, maybe someone needs me for something or maybe I just don't feel like finishing it up. Maybe that's all I
Mhm.
have for that day. And that's okay. So instead of striving for perfection in any one of these things, whether it's the diet or the exercise or um the alcohol, another thing, like I'm not striving for 100% abstinence, but definitely not every day
Right.
all the time. Um, so not beating myself up if I choose to, have a margarita on Wednesday night
Right.
instead of abstaining for the rest of the, forever.
And I like the way that you're not setting the ultimate, like, I will have a dry January and I will not have anything to drink, or I will be on that treadmill for 30 minutes a day. And you're giving yourself leeway. You're giving yourself just more acceptance of where you are each day, right? We know
Yeah,
what we need to do, and those
right.
are our goals, but
Yeah.
we
Yeah, because I mean, at least for me, and when people come see me, I'm a family medicine doctor. So when people come see me and talk about things that they should. It's the big should. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. And that just feels so heavy. It just feels so heavy. It feels so full of judgment. I should be exercising every day. I should be, avoiding the alcohol. I should be avoiding red meat, or, I should be eating more kale, or, I should limit screen time for my kids. I mean, there's endless
Yep.
shoulds. And when we give ourselves those extremes and we shoot for that 100% like abstinence or that 100% score, and we don't attain it, then a lot of times we do nothing. It's like, well, I can't do it.
Right.
So I'm just not
Right.
going to do it at all. And that's not realistic, that's not how life is, and that's not how we are as people. We're not perfect.
Right.
And some days we may be perfect and some days we're not going to be, and that's okay, because this is, and we keep repeating this over, this is a long haul game. This is like, it never ends. We're always striving to be a little bit better. And some days we're going to be slobs. Some days I'm a freaking slob. Uh, you know, when I got home from work yesterday, it was like 5, and it was cold. So I put on my pajamas, I put on my fuzzy slippers. I, took my bra off and everything. And I didn't know Juan had asked a friend to come over, like this fancy executive from MIT, who they were gonna go do some they were gonna go to invited him to a hockey game. So it's one of those kind of networking things. And he's like, oh, so and so's gonna come by. I'm like, I'm already in my pajamas. I'm already like ready to mellow out. And he came in, and there I was, like slob pajamas, slippers, and I'm like, hey, this is how you doing?
This
You
is who
hungry?
you
I made
are.
dinner. I was a slob in my eyes, but you know what? It's okay.
It's
I was ready to
okay.
relax. I needed that.
And shame on your husband for not telling you sooner that he was having someone
Well,
over.
he told me, but I thought he was gonna meet him at the hockey. I didn't
Oh,
think he invited him into the house to like come inside, And he's like, "Oh no, he's here. He's outside." I'm like, can I hide?
yeah.
Can I go hide?" Like, but he wants to meet you.
But
So,
you know what?
anyways,
I'm the word that I've been using lately in my mind when I think about all of these healthy choices that we should be making is infusing. Like, how can I
I
infuse
like
more
that.
movement? How can I infuse more healthy choices? How can I infuse more mindfulness?
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. Because for me, that word is like a fun word, like infuse new
Yeah, I like that.
flavors into a new
Like a
dish. Like
hint
it's
of, yeah,
yeah, a hint of, but not the pressure. It
a
doesn't have
pinch
the
of.
pressure. Right,
Right.
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 Doesn't have the
Yeah.
pressure, it doesn't have the stress. Um, like you say, we should. Like should is so heavy, but if I choose to, excuse me, infuse, then that's so much lighter.
Yeah, and it's fun and it's cute and it sounds tasty. And
Yep,
I love the idea of our lives not being fun, being tasty, being cute, or whatever adjective it is that kind of floats your boat. Make your life all of that.
right.
Why not? Why not make your diet cute and fun and tasty
Mhm.
and healthy at the same time?
Right.
or those fun routines that help you de-stress, like make it, infuse it with something that, feels wonderful for you, that is um a little indulgent, but at the same time
Mhm.
you feel good about doing it. Or even like when it comes to like socializing, like eh, deciding who you want to prioritize to spend that time with. A lot of us have lots of acquaintances that we really don't need to be giving a lot of time. And for me, it's spending more time with my family, my kids. They're growing up fast and getting close to college age. I have one college age already. My mom and my mother-in-law getting older, like choosing to spend, more time with them. Um, in a way that doesn't feel like I should. And like this weekend, I did spend some time with my mom, and it didn't feel like I was obligated
Mhm.
because I didn't put that out there for myself. I didn't make it like, oh, I need to see my mom because I should see her.
Yeah.
I've kind of flipped it over on myself and said, I want to see my mom. I want to spend some time with her, and the kids want to see their grandmother. So kind of flipped it so that infused it with a different kind of feel
Yeah. Yeah,
because it
I
is important.
Yeah, I love that about the social spaces too, because it can feel like an so for me, social is so important. I know that about myself, that I need that time with friends and I need that time um, with other women and, even networking. But it can feel like a job and a chore at times. Like when you
Right.
jam up your calendar and you've got this event and this event and these people and dinner here. So I like the idea of I'm going to go back to infusing. I'm going to infuse social time into my crazy calendar, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to infuse good quality time with my dad or time with my mother-in-law.
Right.
So that it's not an obligation, it's a choice. Those were the words that you had. I love
Yes.
that you're making a choice.
Yeah. For those people that I feel are very, very are super important to me and that are valuable, that they make my life a lot more worthwhile, add so much to enrich my life and my family's life in such a way. And those are the people that I will make more of an effort to spend some time with
Yep. Yeah.
intentionally, have some time with them. And saying no to those people, meetings, obligations that don't add anything in addition.
Right.
Um, since I started doing that actually several years ago, I have felt such a relief in that feeling of like overwhelm, not enough time in the week or the month, for other things that I valued more.
Hmm.
And it wasn't to any detriment to either my career or to my family at all.
Hmm.
And um, yeah, nothing bad happened when I said no
Right.
or stopped going to some of these meetings that I really didn't get anything out of, but I just thought I should.
And when we come from a place of obligation, we make up what the ramification will be if we say no, right? So then we don't, right? Because we've made something up in our mind that isn't actually true.
Right.
And if you do just say no, it's never as bad as you think it's going to be.
No. Yeah. I think,
So, yeah,
yeah.
I want to ask you, because you are a physician and you work with patients, all day every day that are struggling to do the right thing. How how do you talk to them about motivation, like self-motivation? So,
Mm,
a
mhm,
diabetic who
mhm.
has to watch their sugars, has to watch their glucose levels. But that's hard and it's every day and it's
Right.
it's the same battle day after day after day. How
Right.
do you help what's your philosophy around motivation?
So my philosophy, I usually am pretty straightforward with my patients, and I am honest with them. I say, you don't have to do any of this. None of this. You don't even have to come see me. You don't even have to come to the doctor. You don't have to take any of your medicines. If you don't want to do any of this, You don't have to. But you are the one that's going to have to live with, any side effects or any consequences. And it's up to you how important feeling good, being mobile, having, full use of all of your body, avoiding disability, like how worth it is it for you? Because yes, these things are hard. Um, and so I kind of try to gauge that with them, see how motivated they are to begin with. And I really work hard on not being judgment. I'm human. So, day after day when I hear I've heard all of the excuses of why we can't do things and why we can't get medication and why we can't change our diet, why we can't exercise, all the things. And yes, they're valid for every single person. So sometimes I get a little jaded. It's true. I'm not going to lie. But I am honest with saying it's not magical. It's not easy. And there isn't a a pill or anything that's going to give that motivation. You have to go through the suck and you have to go through that challenge, because that good health or feeling better or you losing the weight or having better numbers, whatever their motivation is, because my motivation is different than theirs,
Right.
you know it's got to be worth it for them. So sometimes figuring out why is this important to you, and then figuring out the reason for that for them, or at least giving them some insight on that, and then working around that. Because it's different for everyone. For some people, like when it comes to taking care of themselves, some of the barriers to creating some of these healthy routines can be finances. They think that they have to have money to be able to pay for a gym or to buy vegetables or to take certain medications, it's expensive. Another thing is I just don't know how. So it's that confusion. I'm just overwhelmed and confused, and I just don't even know where to start. There's so much information out there. Sometimes it's time. I don't have, time. And so working on kind of, troubleshooting some of that. And another time it's like I there's just complete I feel fine. And I actually feel great just doing what I'm doing,
Yep.
regardless of if you think I'm doing a good job or not. And so I try to meet them where they're at and then work from there.
Yeah.
And everyone's a little bit different.
I love what you said about working through the suck. Like for all these goals, there's going to be parts of it that sucks.
Oh
And
yeah.
the ability to just work through that and knowing your why. And I think we talk about that a lot on this podcast is when
Right.
you know your why,
Right.
you can be vulnerable, you can take
Right.
risks, you can step
Right.
outside your comfort zone, you can be self-motivated, right?
Right.
Remembering that
Yeah.
why is so critical.
Right. Because I do have, people that come see me and they keep coming back to follow up on their, let's say diabetes is a big one. It's a big example. And they're still uncontrolled, or the sugars are still high and they still don't take the medicine, and they follow up again and they haven't changed the darn thing,
Mhm.
and they come back and they admit it's going to be high again, doc. And sometimes the best motivation that I can give is, well, at least you came back. So it must be
Yeah.
important for you on some level that you
Yep.
came back. And so let's recheck and let's start again. And how can I help you?
Yeah.
Um, and so just keeping keeping that goal or that intention, even though we might not be perfect with following through on the regular basis, is I think is still pretty valid.
Yeah, and you're so good with your patients, about all of those pieces. Are you that way with yourself too?
So, I think with all of us, our brain is the biggest judge. So yes, I'm my worst biggest judge,
Mhm, mhm.
but I have learned over time after meeting you and going through coaching how to be more compassionate with myself and kind of be a little bit more graceful and lenient. And I feel like the more I have been uh, easing up on myself, the more I have been following through with some of my goals to be a healthier, better person with less
Right.
stress, less overwhelm. And it has given me more joy in lots of different aspects of life, not only at work, but like in personal relationships. So, not judging myself and not holding myself to those strict standards where you have to do it 100%. And then I just do nothing and being
Right.
okay with like, we're just going to do 5 minutes here. Oops, we had a margarita on Tuesday. We said we weren't going to have one until Friday. It's okay, you know?
Yeah. Well, and it's just so amazing when you give yourself compassion and you stop judging yourself, how the results change, right? We all learned that when we were getting certified in coaching, but until you do it, you don't realize how powerful it is. And it's hard work to not judge yourself, right? Our minds are assholes,
Right.
right? Our favorite
Right.
statement, our minds are assholes and they're always out to sabotage us. But if we
Yeah.
can let go of that judging, it's amazing the results.
How do you deal with it when you're, trying to create a routine for yourself and
Yeah.
you
Yeah, so yeah, and I do a lot, right? I have a lot of routines that I'm trying to do, and I've made good progress. But for me, I think we talked about this a couple episodes ago. But for me, I love the book The Gap and the Gain, and the premise of that is, you're not comparing yourself to some unattainable figure or unattainable standard or some crazy smart goal that doesn't even make sense, because that's living in the gap and you'll
right.
never get there and you'll never
Mhm.
feel good. But if you live in the gain, you're looking back and saying, here's where I was a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, and how far have I come? And when I can do that, the judgment and the shame kind of goes away, because I'm like, oh, well, 2 years ago I was on 80 million grams of prednisone and I couldn't walk up the stairs without being short of breath. And I had all these issues. And where I am today, I'm exercising, I'm eating healthy, I'm not on steroids. You
Right.
can make a case for how far you've come, and then that is a motivator. That's a
Right.
motivator for me.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you see those results,
Yes.
and you hit on the key where the motivation comes in, the motivation's not there from at the beginning. At the beginning,
Right.
it's, I don't want to do this. It sucks. It's hard.
Yes.
But once you start seeing those results, then that's where the
Mhm.
motivation comes in, which is like so backwards.
Right.
It's like
Right.
so backwards than what we think,
You're right. You're right. It is backwards. Yeah.
Like, why does it have to be that way?
Yeah.
You have to go through it. But so creating healthy routines is a nonstop thing. It doesn't have to start just, at the new year, and it doesn't have to get lost through the year, but sometimes it does. And that's okay. You can start at any time to, create some healthy routines in any aspect of your life, personal, professional, social, what have you. But having some grace for yourself, keeping it at the forefront, and yeah, getting right back up after you fall off track, you get off your routine. Yeah, no big deal, get back up, do what you're willing to do, small little baby steps, we'll all get there eventually, and that's okay. So thank you for listening, and I hope you all have a wonderful week.
Have a
Bye.
wonderful week.
Hey, one more thing before we leave. This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. We are certified professional coaches, but this broadcast is not a substitute for medical or psychological advice. Okay, thanks for listening. See you next week.